Welcome back to Cody's Movie Cave, where today we shall be discussing Lord of the Rings Ring of Power. There is no hobbits to speak of, that we know of, in this show. But that being said, you shall pass into Cody's Movie Cave.
So yeah, Lord of the Rings, Ring of Power. So, what are you guys' thoughts on this show thus far? I think we've had 6 episodes so far, and we've had some pretty decent, pretty cool action scenes from this show. I love the whole thing that they're kind of stepping back towards kind of the scene that takes place at the beginning of Fellowship of the Ring, the movie, where everybody's come together to fight Sauron and sort of whack his finger off, or Isildur does anyway. So this series is building towards that, right? They're building toward the rings being forged and built, and we get to see a young Galadriel and Lord Elrond, which is very cool. And so really, the only characters I have seen, and I may be wrong, I hadn't caught up on the current episodes. I'm a few episodes behind. I've watched the first few, and so, yeah, I think it's a pretty decent show. I don't feel like it deserves the hate that it's kind of been getting. But that being said, it could be better, right? So, like I said, we get a young Galadriel who was paid pretty good in the movies by Cate Blanchett. And so we get a sort of a different feel for this character than what we get in the movies. She's a little bit more cold, a little bit more distinguished and wise in the movies. In this one, she's more of a force to be reckoned with, right? She's more of a fiery young spirit who wants to kind of do her own thing, and she's really wanting to fight. She wants to find Sauron and put an end to this before it gets out of hand. So yeah, pretty cool show. Like I said, it's got a young Lord Elrond who was played in the movies by Hugo Weaving. So we kind of get a little bit of a vibe that these two characters have some history. They're friends, but yeah, it's pretty cool. We even get a young Isildur. That's right, the guy that whacks off Sauron's finger and winds up and steals the ring and doesn't cast it into Mordor like Elrond begged him to do. And so, yeah, Isildur is pretty much, he's a young guy. Him and his sister is in this one. And as far as I can tell now, like I said, I haven't been caught up on the new episodes, which I'm going to try to do today. So far, I haven't seen any characters that, besides these three, that are from the movies. We get a whole bevy of new characters, which is good. I like to have new characters from time to time be introduced, especially when you're establishing a new project like this. The action is really cool, especially with the elves. Elves are always bad-ended little creatures, are they not? They can move and fast. I mean, I'm telling you. I like the whole storyline of the elf. I forget his name. I need to try to remember it, but he's the main elf that's in the south over there, and they all get caught in sort of this prison camp with these orcs. Really cool action scene there. So yeah. Now, was it kind of moving at a snail's pace? Yes. I wouldn't go as far to say, hey, this show is as slow and dull as Andor, because it's not. It did move, it did have action, it did have excitement, whereas Andor so far has not. But this one kind of is a little bit slow. I feel like it needs to pick up the pace, If I had to critique it, that'd be what I could critique it on. It's not, anything like the movies so far. I mean, we're set in that world, that Tolkien world, and Middle Earth and all that. But you got to keep in mind that this is a pre-story. This is a TV series that has not been directed by Peter Jackson, who directed the trilogy. or anything like that. It is its own animal. So to feel that we should compare them to the trilogy, I don't know if I feel like I'm on that same wagon as some of you guys, okay? Because I do want to try to give it the benefit of the doubt, because it is its own beast of its own self. So, you know, we're up to episode 6. Like I said, I got to do some catching up. Been a little busy, you know, so bear with me. So, this is not a full review of the whole series thus far, but like I said, you know, from what I've seen so far, I've been pleased. I've not been blown away. By no means is it anything, you know, like just great, but it's decent, you know. And so yeah, I mean, you know, it's if you got that Amazon subscription and you are a Lord of the Rings fan, then you definitely need to be checking it out, okay? Highly recommend you check it out. With that said, it dropped at the same time as House of the Dragon. My God, could you ask for a worst release date for your show to come out almost in the same period as this other epic fantasy show that also has a set in a backdrop with already established fans. So yeah, it's kind of, I don't know what they were thinking there. They should have at least waited to maybe this winter or even next year or something, you know, because that way you wouldn't have episodes dropping the same exact time as House of the Dragon. I will tell you, I have kept up with House of the Dragon, and I've watched their episodes a little more than I have Rings of Power, and I'm a little bit more leaning towards it being the better show, House of the Dragon. But with that said, they both are great shows, and I feel like I said, it should not have come out at the same time, because you're oversaturated with this sort of fantasy feel, and you're like, I don't really care to, you know, go back and forth. You know what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying? Because, like, you know, House of the Dragon comes on Sunday nights, and then, of course, Rings of Power, I think, came out a week or so later, and it was on Friday. So we had already, House of the Dragon kind of beat them to the punch, if you will, with episodes. So they already had like a week or so episode in to House of the Dragon, and so I'm already captivated into this world and trying to keep up. And then they sort of, you know, spring Rings of Power onto me, and it's just, look, I'm one of them people when it comes to TV shows. You know, I'm a busy guy. I work a full-time job. I'm not doing this, obviously. I work somewhere else. But anyway, full-time job, family life, and all that. It's hard for me to keep an attention span and keep up with multiple shows, let alone shows that are similar in the genre nature. So, you know, I'm going to try to keep up with Rings of Power. I'm going to try to finish it off when it does finish. I may wind up waiting until House of the Dragon is fully over, so I'm not comparing the two, and I'm not really oversaturated with that. That would probably be my best advice, maybe, if you want to just wait till all the Rings of Power episodes have been on, you know, because they drop weekly as well. You know, that's sort of the new thing. People's trying to get away from the whole streaming the whole season at one time like Netflix does. So maybe wait till Rings of Power has got all the whole episodes of the whole season on their page, and then maybe binge it. That might work better. Might be what I should do. You know, start over and start fresh from episode 1 till the end. But like I said, I don't really see the hate. I wouldn't say hate. Maybe the bad reviews that this show is getting currently, because like I said, up until what I've seen, it's been okay. It's this massive, epic, huge world building, if you will. If you're a fan of Lord of the Rings, you get to see new things that you hadn't been shown with the trilogy movies or the Hobbit prequels. You get to see new lands, new areas, and new things that you hadn't seen yet, and characters, I might add. So it's a good show. It's a really good show. I like it so far. Really cool fights, like I said. The effects are pretty good. They could be a little bit better, but for a TV series, especially on Amazon, it is pretty decent CGI. And the cast they've done pretty good so far. You know, like I said, it's relatively unknown actors. I hadn't really seen them in a lot of stuff, but for me, that's okay, because you want a fresh appeal. You don't want a big name coming to these characters and be kind of, I don't know, thrown off or sidetracked, if you will, by this big actor playing this performance. You really just get the character when it's an unknown like that. But with that being said, the guy that plays Elrond, the elf Elrond, he actually is from Game of Thrones. That's right, the original Game of Thrones series. He played a young Stark, Ned Stark. Yeah, so I thought that was pretty cool. He kind of jumped ship and went to Lord of the Rings on it. So, yeah, anyway.
So, with that said, will you go on an adventure with me to Rings of Power and try to defeat Sauron?
Which, by the way, there's a whole big mystery of who Sauron is going to wind up being. Hadn't been revealed on the episodes I have seen so far, so I got to catch up. I don't know if it has or hasn't. I'm trying to avoid spoilers, but yes, who is Sauron in this show? And also, the mysterious Meteor Man, as he's being dubbed. We haven't figured out who he is yet. He's somebody. He better be somebody of importance that we've seen before, otherwise that's going to be a huge letdown. Letdown! Anyway.
So yes, will you go on an adventure with me, young hobbitses? We shall venture into the worlds of Middle-earth once again. And we shall tell them, orcs and foes, you shall not pass. And as always, this is my opinion, and all you hobbitses know that opinions are like backsides. Everyone has one. Some of them stink.